Stay consistent, and success will follow. What if everything you've been waiting for, success, happiness, change, will never come unless you make the first move? No magic moment, no perfect time. The real question is, are you ready to take action, even when everything inside you screams to wait? The answer will change your life. The illusion of motivation. Have you ever wondered why some people transform their lives quietly and profoundly, while others keep repeating promises they never follow through on? They say, "I'll change," but then continue the same patterns. Day after day, year after year, they stay in the same place, making promises to themselves that never get fulfilled. The answer isn't that one group of people is more talented, luckier, or has more time. The difference lies simply in the fact that they have realized a harsh truth that few people understand. Nothing changes until you change yourself. And if you don't make that change, nothing will ever be different, no matter how much you wish for it. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, why haven't you changed right now? Have you ever thought, "I'll start at the perfect time"? Have you ever believed that just a push, a moment of inspiration will get you to begin? Or maybe you wait until you feel ready, until everything is ideal, when you no longer feel tired or worried. If you think this way, you're not alone. Most people wait for the perfect moment, a moment when they feel full of energy, motivation, and excitement. But the truth is, that moment will never come. Those feelings of excitement are temporary, and they will vanish when you face exhaustion, stress, or when life doesn't go as planned. You could wait your whole life, but you'll never experience real change. The truth is, change only happens when you dare to act. Whether there's applause, whether you feel excited, whether anyone cheers you on. Perseverance is the true key to change. The days when you feel exhausted, when there's no motivation, those are the moments when you're laying the foundation for change. It's not always easy, and that's why most people give up when they feel tired or uninspired. They think that when their emotions fade, everything will stop. But you must understand that change never comes from emotions. It comes from consistent action, from continuing even when you don't see immediate results. Pure Stoic practice brings profound insights into Stoic philosophy to help you develop yourself every day. Hello everyone, to continue learning and growing, don't forget to follow the channel and turn on the notification bell to watch the latest and fastest videos. Together with Stoic philosophy, we'll better understand how to master ourselves, overcome challenges, and build a life not dependent on waiting for motivation, but on relentless action. That feeling when you wait for motivation to come, for inspiration to spark, feels both so familiar, doesn't it? We all believe that motivation will be the catalyst that drives us to change. But in reality, motivation is like waves that rise and fall. It comes and it goes, and when you no longer feel motivated, you think you can't go on. But perseverance, persistence, is the thing that quietly leads you to success. Perseverance is nothing but doing small tasks day after day, even when you feel discouraged or exhausted. Every small action, every steady step, even when no one sees, is what builds success. That's why people stay stuck, still going in circles. They only want to do things when they feel easy or fun. But true change only comes when you do the right thing despite your emotions and circumstances. You don't need to wait until you feel perfect. Don't wait until you're no longer tired or feel ready. You don't need to wait because time keeps passing and you will never feel completely ready. Change is not a sudden jolt. but a series of consistent actions, even if you don't see immediate results, but surely will gradually make a huge difference. It's during those tiring days, during those moments when no one claps, that you are building a life that doesn't depend on feelings or motivation. So why not start right now? Take action right now. Don't fall into the trap of procrastination. Don't let lack of motivation or fear stop you from continuing. Every day, allow yourself to take a small step, even if it seems insignificant. But those small steps will guide you to success. And as you keep going, you'll realize that real change doesn't need to wait. You just need to start right now. Whether you feel motivated or not, whether you have encouragement or not, starting to act, it is the only choice to make a difference in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to Pure Stoic Practice to explore valuable lessons in personal development. Follow our videos to help you build a life that is resilient and consistent, in line with Stoic philosophy. Embracing discomfort. Growth comes from pushing through resistance. In the pursuit of growth and self-improvement, there is one truth that stands above all others. Growth is not born from comfort. Growth is the child of discomfort, the result of pushing yourself beyond the limits of what you thought was possible. We often expect transformation to come with ease, imagining that one day it will all click into place and the path ahead will unfold effortlessly. But the reality is far different. True growth is forged in the fire of struggle and discomfort. The willingness to embrace discomfort, to keep moving forward even when everything inside you screams to stop, is what sets those who succeed apart from those who give up. When we face difficult situations, it's natural to wish for relief, to desire an end to the discomfort. But discomfort is not an obstacle. It's a signal. It's a sign that you are on the edge of something significant. When you stop avoiding discomfort and instead confront it head-on, you take control of your own growth. The discomfort you experience is not something to fear. It's the very thing that shapes you into someone capable of achieving what once seemed impossible. Too often, we let discomfort dictate our actions. We allow it to push us off course, to make us retreat back to our comfort zones. We have been conditioned to seek pleasure and avoid pain at all costs, but this desire for comfort comes at a price. It keeps us stagnant, trapped in patterns that never lead to real change. And so, we remain stuck, always longing for something more, but never quite able to take the steps necessary to achieve it. We wait for the perfect moment, for the time when we feel ready, when the conditions are ideal, when the discomfort has subsided. But the truth is that this moment will never come. The ideal conditions do not exist, and if you wait for them, you will wait forever. Real transformation doesn't happen when the path is smooth. It happens when you are walking uphill, when the journey is steep and the effort is taxing. It happens when you face obstacles and setbacks and yet continue to push forward, even when the finish line seems far out of reach. The discomfort you experience during these times is the training ground for resilience. It is the very thing that builds your strength. Every challenge you face, every difficult moment you endure, is an opportunity to grow. It's a chance to develop the mental fortitude that will carry you through the next phase of your journey. At the core of this is the Stoic philosophy, which teaches us that we cannot control the world around us, but we can control our responses. We cannot avoid discomfort, but we can choose how we deal with it. We can choose to meet it with strength, with patience, and with determination. The Stoics understood that growth is a process of overcoming obstacles, and they believed that it was only through facing adversity that we could truly discover what we are made of. It's easy to believe that we can only grow when things are going well, when we're motivated and inspired. But the truth is, that's the easy part. Anyone can take action when everything is aligned and perfect. It's when things are hard, when you don't feel like it, when the path ahead seems unclear that true growth occurs. In those moments, you have a choice. You can retreat back to your comfort zone, or you can lean into the discomfort and continue moving forward, even when it feels like the world is working against you. Embracing discomfort is not about seeking out pain or struggle for the sake of it. It's about understanding that discomfort is an inevitable part of the journey. When you stop fearing discomfort, you stop being its victim. You start using it as a tool to shape your character. You stop looking for the easy way out, and instead, you begin to trust the process. You trust that every challenge is leading you closer to your goal, even when you can't see it in the moment. The discomfort you feel in these moments is not permanent. It's a passing phase, a necessary part of the growth process. But if you avoid it, if you constantly search for ways to escape it, you miss out on the opportunities it brings. You miss out on the chance to develop resilience, to build strength, and to become the person you need to be to achieve your goals. It's in the struggle that you find your true power, and it's in the discomfort that you become who you are meant to be. This is not to say that discomfort is easy or enjoyable. It's not, but it's essential. Without it, there is no growth. Without discomfort, there is no change. The most successful people are those who have learned to embrace discomfort, who have learned that it is not an enemy to be avoided, but a companion on the journey. They understand that every challenge is an opportunity to improve, to become stronger, to evolve into a better version of themselves. When you start to view discomfort as a necessary part of the process, you begin to take control of your journey. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and start taking action in spite of the discomfort. You stop looking for motivation and start trusting your ability to follow through, no matter how you feel. Because you know that your growth doesn't depend on feeling good. It depends on your willingness to keep going, even when things aren't easy. At the end of the day, the only way to achieve meaningful change is to move through the discomfort. You will face moments when you want to quit, when you feel like giving up, when it seems like the weight of the world is too much to bear. But it's in these moments that your true strength is forged. It's in these moments that you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And it's in these moments that you take the most important step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. Embrace the discomfort. Lean into it. Let it shape you. Because it's through discomfort that you will find your true power. It's through discomfort that you will transform. And it's through discomfort that you will achieve the life you've always dreamed of. The discomfort is not your enemy. It's your greatest ally on the path to greatness. Identity through action. What you do shapes who you are. Who you are isn't determined by what you wish to do, what you dream of achieving, or the plans you make for the future. Your true identity is forged through the actions you take day in and day out. It's easy to tell yourself that you're a certain kind of person, to define yourself by your intentions or your aspirations, but the truth is, intentions alone don't define you. Actions do. Every decision you make, every step you take, even when it feels small or insignificant, is a vote for the person you are becoming. It's not your thoughts or your desires that shape you, but the things you do consistently. When you look back at your life, you won't remember the countless hours you spent dreaming of success, nor will you remember the number of promises you made to yourself about the future. What will stick with you are the times you chose to act, even when it was difficult, when you felt uncertain, when you were unsure of the outcome. Those are the moments that build your character. They form the foundation of who you are and who you are becoming, because it's not the things you say you'll do, it's the things you actually do that shape your identity. And as you continue to show up, even in the trying times, you begin to see yourself not just as someone who wants to change, but as someone who is actually doing the work necessary to create that change. This is a hard truth for many to accept. Who you are today is a result of what you've consistently chosen to do in the past. Every small decision you've made, every time you've acted in alignment with your values or your goals, has shaped the person you are now. It's easy to think that one day you'll suddenly change and become someone different, that a magical shift will happen, and you'll become the person you've always wanted to be. But real change doesn't happen through magic. It happens through repetition. It happens when you choose to act over and over again until that action becomes who you are. This process is not always easy, nor is it always glamorous. The actions that lead to real change are often mundane, repetitive, and unspectacular. They don't come with applause, and they don't give you immediate rewards. But it's in the repetition of these small, seemingly insignificant acts that true transformation occurs. You might not notice the changes in the moment, but over time, those small acts compound. They add up to something much greater than the sum of their parts. Slowly but surely, the person who used to dream of success becomes the person who is actively creating it, one small action at a time. This is the key to building the kind of identity that lasts. The kind of identity that doesn't rely on inspiration or external validation. When you take consistent action, you begin to reinforce a new identity. Each time you act in a way that aligns with who you want to become, you send a message to yourself. This is who I am. This is the person I am becoming. Over time, those messages build on each other, shaping your character and forming a new self-image. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who wants to change, and you start seeing yourself as someone who is changing. The challenge, however, is that we often look for immediate results. We want to see instant transformation, a quick payoff for our efforts. But true change is never immediate. It's slow, subtle, and often invisible in the beginning. You won't wake up one morning and suddenly feel like a completely different person. Instead, you'll feel the quiet shift that happens over time, the steady transformation that occurs when you keep showing up, even when the rewards aren't obvious. And that's when you begin to realize that the process itself, the consistent effort, the discipline, the quiet commitment to the work, is the real reward. There's power in consistency. The reason so many people fail to achieve their goals is because they give up too soon. They expect change to come quickly, and when it doesn't, they think it's not working. But change doesn't happen overnight. It happens little by little, through the steady accumulation of small actions. And over time, those small actions add up to something huge. They build momentum, they create a foundation, and they shape the person you become. The key is to stop waiting for motivation to come, and instead, start taking action regardless of how you feel. Motivation is fleeting. It's unreliable. But action, real, consistent action, builds momentum. It's the act of doing, over and over again, that transforms you. It's through this process of showing up, day after day, that you begin to build an identity that aligns with your goals. You stop relying on external circumstances to dictate your actions, and instead, you start acting in alignment with the person you want to become, regardless of how you feel in the moment. At first, the changes may feel imperceptible. You might not see the results right away, and that can be discouraging. But remember, true transformation is a process. It takes time. What matters is that you continue to show up even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. The more you show up, the more your actions reinforce your new identity. And eventually, that new identity will become so ingrained in you that it becomes second nature. This is why consistency is so powerful. It's not about doing things perfectly or even about doing things with intensity. It's about doing them consistently, over time. It's about building the habit of showing up even when no one is watching, even when there's no immediate reward. Over time, these habits become your identity. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who struggles to stay disciplined and start seeing yourself as someone who is disciplined. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who procrastinates and start seeing yourself as someone who gets things done. And the more you align your actions with the person you want to become, the more you solidify that identity. Every time you follow through on your commitments, no matter how small, you reinforce the belief that you are the kind of person who follows through. Every time you resist the urge to procrastinate and take action instead, you reinforce the belief that you are the kind of person who takes action. Over time, this process becomes self-sustaining. The actions that once required effort and discipline become automatic. You no longer have to think about them. You no longer have to motivate yourself to do them. They are simply part of who you are. This is the power of consistency. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. So, what does this mean for you? It means that every time you take action, no matter how small, you are shaping your future self. Every decision you make, every action you take, is an opportunity to reinforce the kind of person you want to become. Don't wait for the perfect moment, or for the right motivation, or for the ideal conditions. Start right now. Take the next step. Make the next decision. And trust that, over time, your consistent actions will lead to the transformation you desire. Your identity is not fixed. It is something you create moment by moment, action by action. And the more consistent you are in taking the actions that align with your values and goals, the more that identity will become who you are. This is the secret to true transformation. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about taking consistent action, day after day, and trusting the process. And in doing so, you will become the person you've always wanted to be. The role of discipline. Structuring your life for success. In the pursuit of personal growth, there comes a pivotal realization that shapes everything. Success doesn't come from motivation, nor does it come from waiting for the stars to align. Success is about creating systems that support you, about structuring your life in a way that leads to results, even when motivation fades. It is the structures we build, the disciplines, habits, and routines that transform us, not fleeting moments of excitement. When we recognize that consistency requires structure, we begin to see that we are not bound by the whims of emotion or motivation. Instead, we are empowered by our ability to create a foundation that works regardless of how we feel. The truth is, without structure, progress is elusive. We can have the best intentions, but without a clear, organized system to support those intentions, we are left floundering. How many times have we set grand goals or resolutions only to find ourselves abandoning them after a few days, a few weeks, or when the initial excitement wears off? It happens to everyone. But the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the lack of desire. It's the failure to build a solid system that makes success inevitable. Imagine trying to build a house without a blueprint. You might have the materials, you might have the labor, but without the right plan, without a system, that house will collapse. It's the same with our lives. We can have all the motivation in the world, but without the framework to channel that motivation, our efforts will crumble. This is where discipline comes in. It is the structure that holds everything together. Discipline isn't about being rigid or overly strict with yourself. It's about creating a reliable foundation that makes it easier to follow through on your commitments, even when the energy or motivation isn't there. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is to design your life in a way that makes the right actions automatic. This starts with creating daily habits and routines that align with your goals and values. It doesn't matter whether it's waking up at the same time each day, following a morning routine that sets the tone for the rest of the day, or carving out time each day to work on your long-term goals. What matters is that you begin to prioritize your goals through the actions you repeat. This is what makes discipline so powerful. The more consistently you practice the right actions, the more they become ingrained in who you are. You stop thinking about them, you just do them. And before you know it, the actions that once required great effort become second nature. The key is consistency, not perfection. What makes this process so profound is that it shifts the focus from waiting for the right feeling to taking action regardless of how you feel. When you rely on motivation alone, you are subject to its highs and lows. Motivation can feel great when it's there, but it's fleeting and unreliable. It ebbs and flows with your emotional state, your stress levels, and the external circumstances of your life. But when you build structure into your life, you are no longer dependent on motivation. You become independent of external factors, and instead, you become the driver of your own success. This shift is what allows you to keep going even when things get tough, when your energy wanes, or when motivation is nowhere to be found. Think about the habits that successful people have. They don't rely on motivation alone. They have routines, structures, and systems that support their success. Whether it's setting aside time for physical activity each day, carving out time to work on projects that align with their goals, or making sure they are staying focused on what matters most, they have built their success into their daily lives. These structures act as a safeguard, ensuring that no matter how the day goes, they will still make progress toward their goals. When you adopt this kind of structure, you stop leaving your future up to chance. Instead, you design your life in a way that success becomes inevitable. The beauty of this approach is that it gives you control over your life. You no longer have to wait for the perfect moment, the moment when you finally feel motivated, energized, or ready to take action. That moment will never come. Instead, you take control of the moment and create the conditions for success, regardless of what's happening around you or how you feel. By designing your life to support your goals, you are building a system that allows you to thrive even in times of adversity. It is the system, not the individual bursts of effort, that carries you forward. And over time, you'll realize that what you're building isn't just a successful life. It's a life of meaning, stability, and resilience. Consistency doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require that every day be flawless or that every action be executed without fail. What it does require is a commitment to showing up, no matter what. It's about being disciplined enough to do the work even when you don't feel like it, to stick to your routine even when it's difficult, and to make the small decisions that lead to big results every single day. It's about building a rhythm in your life that allows you to continue moving forward, even when the external circumstances are less than ideal. When you build your life around these structures, you stop feeling like you're constantly battling against yourself. You stop trying to force motivation or waiting for the stars to align. Instead, you create a rhythm that allows you to flow through your day with purpose, even on the days when you feel like nothing is happening. The structure you create doesn't just help you take action. It transforms your mindset. It reinforces the belief that you are capable of achieving your goals, and it shows you that success is not a matter of waiting for the right moment, but of taking consistent action, even when things feel uncertain. What's important to remember is that the process of building structure and discipline in your life is not always glamorous. It's not about making bold moves or dramatic changes. It's about the small, everyday actions that add up over time. These actions, although seemingly insignificant in the moment, are what shape your future. They are what create the momentum that will carry you through the tough times, the moments when motivation is nowhere to be found. The consistency with which you approach your goals is what makes all the difference. This is the foundation of success, the ability to show up consistently, day after day, regardless of how you feel or what's going on around you. And it's this kind of discipline built over time that creates a life of true meaning and purpose. Success doesn't happen overnight, but through steady, consistent effort. When you embrace the power of structure and discipline, you unlock the potential within yourself to create lasting change. You don't need to rely on fleeting moments of motivation or inspiration. You simply need to trust in the system you've created and stay committed to the process. In the end, the difference between success and failure is not found in the intensity of your effort or the bursts of motivation you experience along the way. It's found in your ability to show up, to build a system that supports your goals, and to keep moving forward, even when the path ahead is unclear. When you adopt this mindset, you stop relying on external forces to determine your success. Instead, you take control of your future by designing a life that works for you, a life built on consistency, discipline, and the unwavering belief that your actions will lead you to the success you desire. Consistency over time, the quiet path to transformation. In life, we often find ourselves trapped in the cycle of endless preparation, the desire to get everything perfect before we take the first step. We tell ourselves that we need more time, more resources, or the right moment to begin. We convince ourselves that the circumstances need to be just right, that we need to feel inspired, motivated, or equipped with everything we think we need before we can act. This is the trap many of us fall into, the belief that we can only begin when everything aligns. But in reality, waiting for the perfect moment to begin is the very thing that keeps us stuck. It's the constant search for external conditions to change before we take action that prevents us from moving forward and making meaningful progress in our lives. The truth is, there is no such thing as the perfect moment. The conditions are rarely ideal, and the inspiration often comes after we've already started, not before. If we wait for everything to line up perfectly, we will be waiting forever. Action, real action, requires a willingness to start even when we don't feel ready. It requires us to stop waiting for external circumstances to change and begin with the resources and tools we have in front of us right now. It's about taking the first step, no matter how small, and trusting that the momentum will build as we continue. Too often, we mistakenly believe that success comes from having all the answers, from knowing exactly what the next step will be. We think that if we have everything figured out, we can avoid making mistakes and we can ensure that our efforts will lead to success. But success is rarely linear. The journey is filled with twists and turns, obstacles and setbacks. And it's in facing those challenges, in taking that first step, even when we don't know exactly where it will lead, that we find the growth we're searching for. The path to success isn't always clear, and it often doesn't follow the route we expect. But it's the act of starting, the act of pushing past our fears and uncertainties that allows us to learn, grow, and ultimately move closer to our goals. It's easy to get caught in the cycle of overthinking and overanalyzing, trying to predict every possible outcome before we take action. But this only holds us back. The need for certainty, the desire to know exactly what will happen, prevents us from embracing the unknown. And it's in the unknown that true growth happens. We learn by doing, not by planning. We learn by taking action, not by waiting for the perfect moment to arrive. The process of trial and error is how we sharpen our skills, how we refine our understanding, and how we ultimately make progress. Every step, no matter how imperfect, moves us closer to where we want to be. The key to overcoming this paralysis of over-preparation is to embrace the power of starting. The simple act of beginning, of taking that first step, breaks the cycle of hesitation and self-doubt. It's about pushing past the fear of imperfection and embracing the messiness of progress. When we start, we stop waiting for the perfect conditions, and instead, we make progress with the conditions we have right now. And as we continue to take action, we start to see the results of our efforts. What once seemed like an insurmountable task becomes manageable because we've broken it down into smaller, actionable steps. With each step we take, we gain confidence, momentum, and a deeper understanding of what it takes to achieve our goals. By committing to action, we also shift our mindset. We stop seeing ourselves as passive observers of our lives, waiting for something external to change before we can act. Instead, we become active participants, taking charge of our own journey. We stop waiting for motivation to strike, knowing that motivation often follows action, not the other way around. As we consistently take small steps toward our goals, we begin to build the discipline necessary to keep going, even when things get tough. And we begin to realize that the process is just as important as the destination. Every step we take, no matter how small, is a victory in itself, and the act of moving forward becomes its own reward. If you are ready to embrace the power of action, to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start moving toward your goals, don't hesitate any longer. Take that first step, however small it may seem, and trust that the path will reveal itself as you go. The sooner you start, the sooner you will gain the clarity you seek, and the sooner you will begin to see the results of your efforts. And as you continue, you'll realize that success isn't a matter of waiting for the right moment. It's about creating the right moment by taking consistent, deliberate action. Remember, the world doesn't wait for anyone. Time doesn't pause for you to get ready. Every day that passes without action is a missed opportunity to move closer to your goals. So, choose to act. Choose to start, even if you don't feel ready. Choose to push past the fear of failure and embrace the unknown. And as you do, you'll discover that the path to success is not a straight line, but a winding road of experiences, learning, and growth. With each step you take, you are building not just the life you want, but the strength and character to sustain it. I encourage you to take that first step today. Subscribe to the channel and let us walk this journey of self-improvement together. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps us improve and keep creating content that resonates with you. We are all in this together, and by taking action today, we are one step closer to becoming the best versions of ourselves. Thank you for being here, for committing to your own growth, and for making the choice to act, not wait.